Chapter 11. Pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. Proverbs 16:18. The steel shark cage hits the sand bottom hard, bounces upward 2 feet, and slams back into the seabed before dragging to a stop, tilting slightly to the left. 10 seconds later, the second cage crashes into the ocean floor, driving its occupants half to their knees. A rising cloud of silt from the dual impacts is quickly swept away by a two-knot tidal current. Jean-Michel Cousteau grins from the other cage, then signals that all is okay. We are again in the realm of the great white shark. David, a photographer standing next to me, looks to ensure there are no sharks about, then steps out of the cage and promptly walks 20 feet across the bottom. Michel Delory and Kapkin, our newest diver, step out from the other cage and begin examining the seabed. They are looking for oysters and crabs for tonight's dinner. Grocery shopping underwater is one of the advantages of being a diver, except for those of us who happen to be vegetarians. So instead of dinner patrol, I'm on shark duty. With only a 15-minute bottom time, we don't really expect to see any sharks. So, of course, one arrives. I see the massive shark coming. He swims rapidly out of the gloom. The shark is behind and slightly above the other divers, which is why they do not see him. Underwater, it's impossible to yell a warning. Look out, shark! I shout uselessly into my regulator. Without realizing it, I step out of the cage and race towards my friends. Underwater race is a relative term. Since we did not anticipate swimming, none of us are wearing flippers. Swim fins are a hindrance in a shark cage, where divers need to be weighted extra heavy for stability. Wearing two belts of lead, I move ponderously as I rush across the seabed to warn my friends. Meanwhile, the shark is headed toward David, who is completely unaware of the danger. He is taking pictures of Jean Michel, who abruptly notices my awkward charge across the sandy bottom. Instantly, Jean Michel's faceplate shifts towards the approaching shark. Luckily, this is not an attack run. The shark, which is probably more curious than hungry, veers to one side as I reach out and grab David. The sudden contact causes him to spin about fearfully. Seeing me, he starts to relax. Then David beholds the shark. He needs no further encouragement as he races for the security of the shark cage. So I go in pursuit of the other two divers, who were chasing spider crabs. The shark continues to circle as I alert Capkin, then Michel Delory. In the ensuing shuffle, somehow I wind up being the last one outside the cages. The nearest cage already has three divers in it. 20 feet away, I see my cage door standing open with David waiting inside. Instantly, I make one of the most foolish decisions of my life. I begin to run toward the distant cage against the tidal current, plowing aggressively into the oncoming water flow. I move slowly forward at a mere 1 mile per hour. Having lost track of the shark, I worry it is heading directly at my exposed back. Why didn't I just get into the closer cage? I think furiously to myself. Because you didn't want them to think you cowardly, my mind answers. Time seems to slow as I focus on each forward step. Idiot, I chastise myself. You're making this frightening journey strictly because of social fear. I'm 2 steps from the open door when a dark shadow passes overhead. Believing the shark is on the verge of attacking, I lunge forward and dive into the cage, then anxiously turn to see empty water. On the surface, the Alcyon swings in the wind, casting a wandering shadow that now slowly moves away. The shark is nowhere to be seen. Leaning against the cage wall, trying to catch my breath, I think about the foolishness of my open run for the distant cage. How silly to risk my life over concern for what people may think of me. Yet this is a common human mistake. We often make poor choices trying to live up to others' expectations. In little leagues, kids live in fear of losing in front of their parents. The fear of embarrassment can be overpowering for a young person. Over the last 10 years, teen suicide has gone up by 700%. Teenage girls unintentionally get pregnant because they are conned into believing they must prove their love. A recent government report claims 40% of all teenage girls will get pregnant before they turn 20 years old. Peer pressure is an awesome power that can shove a person into making a terrifying choice. Yet, when a friend dares us to do something dangerous or wrong, are they showing any concern for our well being? Are they really being a friend? There is only one whose expectations we should focus on, and that is Jesus Christ. He doesn't expect us to hit a ball further, nor does he care if we are short or tall. He simply wants to be our best friend and desires that we love our fellow man. These are expectations that lead us to a happier, more satisfying life. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 11:30.